Yes, sir. It's your boy, Keke The D.O.N, and I am back. This is episode 8 of my podcast. And it's just me today, and I'm going to be talking with you guys about a topic that I've already talked about twice, but I figured I'd give y'all my full thoughts on the whole season since it's now dropped. And that season being Invincible Season 2. About 2 years ago, we got a little teaser from it. I think Mark, well, Invincible and Alan were sitting at a diner or a restaurant, and they were talking about it, and it got people pretty much hyped, myself included. And then we got the teaser, well, the actual trailer for it, like I think 2 weeks, a month later, and it was really, really good. And then episode 1 came out and had a really, really strong start. And then, well, before episode 1, it came out, it got revealed that it was going to be split up in 2 parts. And everyone was kind of like, yeah, that's kind of weird or whatever. But I guess we all assumed that because it was split up into 2 parts, it was going to have more episodes. But no, sadly, it only still had the typical 8. So basically, I already did a review um on my first thoughts about part 1. Part 1 was a really, really strong start. If you've read the Invincible books, or even if you're a casual who just watches the adaptations and doesn't open up a book, it's really, really good. Still, part 2, I think that's what I'll be talking about more today. Part 2, I think was good, but I think it suffered a lot because it went through that hiatus. Um, I think animation or TV shows in general going through a hiatus can either benefit it or not benefit it. But what I will say is it going through the hiatus, it gave us 2 back-to-back gems. First off, the first 2 episodes were really, really good starts. They had my boy Rex Explosion going crazy, 3v1ing the Lizard Squad, and then um, the last two, the last two focused more on Mark. So you had Mark going. You had Anissa meeting Mark, and I remember he was on Twitter saying they're very scared, they're very excited to see Nissa, and I think that was mainly from casuals because people. For those of you who don't know, I will say something very um, topics and topic heavy. But for those of you who don't know, Anissa later on in the book rapes Mark, and people definitely thought that was coming in first, but it wound up not. And I think people were a little confused. And yes, folks, that happens later on in the book, not when she first arrives. And then episode 8, which was the finale, focused on Armstrong Levy, who is an invincible villain who appeared in the first episode of season 2. And not that they forgot about him, but they just focused on other stories, other things. And so you see Mark going through all these different, like, not times, but different portals and taking him to different dimensions. One of them got a highlight, which was this dude called Agent Spider, who is clearly supposed to be, who is clearly supposed to be, who's clearly supposed to be Spider-Man. Um, and yeah, it's voiced by Josh Keaton, who's always a treat to be because who doesn't like Josh Keaton as Spider-Man? Am I right? Like Josh Keaton as Spider-Man, it always made the most sense to me. While I don't think he's the best Spider-Man voice actor, I do think he's up there, probably number 2 for me. Um, I, but yes, so he goes through different portals, different dimensions, trying to make his way back. You kind of get a sense that Armstrong Levy, he is a man who he's not. I don't want to say he's inherently evil. When you have that many versions of yourself combined into one person, it it kind of gets muddy. And this was the one dimension where Invincible was actually pretty good and didn't follow Omni-Man and do all that extra stuff. So I think it worked. I think it worked out. I think it worked out in in his benefit. And Mark ultimately ends up having to kill him. Um, he brutalizes him almost in the way that Omni-Man did to Mark at the end of season one. Um, but he's more shocked. He's more, oh my God, like I thought you'd be stronger, more scared. Um, and it often throughout the season, when you actually do, for those of you who have, for those, so first off, for those of you who have not watched the season, this is actually the perfect time to watch all of the season two, because I think that makes the viewing a little bit more enjoyable. However, I don't think this season is better than season one. I think season one of Invincible is better, not just because of what happens in it. I think it's better because you had people who had never heard of Invincible jumping in. You had the hype from people who have read the book, like myself. You have you just had a lot more. There was a lot more hype, a lot more suspense, because there are people who, a lot more hype, a lot more suspense. And I think with season two, maybe we all got too overhyped. We thought it was going to be something that it wasn't. I'm very, very much excited for season three, though. I think season three will finally be when Mark sports his iconic, but not as iconic as his yellow one. His blue suit will probably fight Conquest, and it will just take itself from there. We've already, they've already planted the siege for Alan and Nolan, spoiler alert, to break out of the Butchermite Empire. So we will definitely see that. But overall, I think I would give my score to Invincible season two as a whole. I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The animation is chef's kiss. Art style is chef's kiss. It's definitely, I didn't notice it at first, but when I went back and watched season one, it's definitely a step up from animation. I definitely, again, would recommend. I definitely recommend anyone who is not even just a fan of comics, just a fan, just a fan. You just want a good show to watch in general. I definitely recommend to watch. This is definitely a show. When it's all said and done, this is a show that will definitely. It would not surprise me if this show ends up being on like people's top 10 animated shows, top 10 superhero shows, because it's really that good. And I do, whenever we do get a season three trailer, I will definitely be dropping a predictions video. So, but that, obviously it's way too early to tell. But yeah, um, giving you guys his thoughts. Give me you guys' thoughts in the comment section. Like, what did you like about season two? What didn't you like about season two? I think the only thing I probably didn't really too much like about season two, outside of the break, I feel like a lot of the side characters outside of Debbie got kind of shifted. Like if you weren't Debbie and Amber, I feel like you got kind of shifted outside of Rex Explosion, of course. Um, so yeah, but those are my overall thoughts of season two, part two, and just the whole season overall. Um, I think it is a good watch. I think hopefully for season three they don't do a break, because that will not only kill the hype for it, I think that will kill just people's interest in it. Because I would argue that part two was better than part one, but if the hype isn't there, then it makes sense why people really didn't watch it. So, um, yeah, those are my thoughts, concerns, and everything. Um, I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Keke The D.O.N podcast. So stay tuned.